got going here is kind of a gritty chord sound. Now you can just barely hear it right now. What it is the noise from braids feeding into the strum of rings. Now the reason why it's not very loud at this point is because I have all this triggered and modulated by tetrapad. So what this trigger does is essentially opens up a filter. Since the tetrapad is pressure sensitive, I can use that to control the frequency. The output of rings is also going to a distortion, which just adds a little bit more grittiness to it. Now I have that going on a send. Send number 1 is the Dismodus Versio. Add some depth to it. And partway through the performance I shifted over the shimmer. Turn up the regen. And give it a little shimmer effect on the high end. And a real low guttural effect on the low end. This gives a nice bass sound for industrial ambient. Now for the second sound on my mixer, I got the R-Bar. It's providing some very mechanical sounding samples. Now for this I have the spray turned up a little bit. You can hear some other tones popping in now and then. Now generally for mechanical sounding samples, I want it to be dry. I don't really need a lot of reverb on it. I do have this channel going post to, again, to the Dismodus Versio. If I turn it up, any type of ambient reflections or reverb are just going to kind of take away from the whole industrial feel of the sound. So I generally don't use it for that. Instead, I have this sample. Now I turn down the spray. And turn up the length. And this is more of a chord sound. Now for this, I like turning up the reverb. And when you put it on shimmer, that sounds really nice. So that's all that is for that channel. Now for channels 3 and 4, I have a kick and a clap. The clap is, of course, going through reverb. Again, the Dismodus. Now the 808 kick is coming from my favorite module of all time, Mutable Instruments Peaks. I can soften it. If I get on the right channel. Or I can make it harder. And the clap is coming from the quad drum. Now this is all coming from my nerd set. So you can see here, the clap is on the 30-second beat. And the bass drum is 4 and 4. Now I'm not using any compressor for this at all. It's just the flat sound. And that's largely the percussion. Okay, channels 4 and 5 are the heart of this song, and they both incorporate the noise plethora from Bifaco. This is really one module that I wanted to get to know better. It has 5 outputs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm using 3 of them right now. I'm using both the top channel and the bottom channel, and this is what they sound like. So first of all, I come in with this sound. And then I add this. Now all this is the beats from the dirt scene coming into a quadrax to give an envelope, and I'm using that envelope to modulate the cutoffs, have it multed with a cable going into the second cutoff, or the second channel cutoff as well, and the outs are coming here. Now these algorithms, I am messing with this one a little bit on the CV. Basically what it's doing is it's changing channel 2, basically. Changing the pitch a little bit. Just a very, very little bit. Now I do have the white noise coming out of here, which I add towards the end of the patch, and that's on the next channel. Kind of a cymbal sound. Now I could change it. Oh, I don't have it filtered right now. It's just standard white noise. And I'm not running that through any effects. I want, again, that industrial sound. I do have the white noise actually going into a reverb, but I don't have it turned on. Channel 8 comes in at the very end of the patch. It's just a simple art. I'm going to give it dry. It's kind of an odd sound, and I found one of the best modules for an odd sound is the Vertitor Legio from Noise Engineering. Now I have that going through a DLD, and the DLD is going into a filter. So post delay, going into the filter and coming back out and going into my mixer. And I am adding the Dismodus. Now at this point, I do have the Dismodus on shimmer, but it is on the lower side, so it gives kind of the industrial drone. And that's kind of, I use this for the outro of the track. Channel 9 is the ensemble. And just by itself, I'm going dry, which it is right now. It is just a dry sound. Which sounds good, but it kind of overwhelms the rest of the track. A little gritty. I could filter it, but instead, I just want it sitting in the background as kind of a really low, kind of a menacing drone in the background. To do that, I turn it up so I just barely hear it, and then turn up pre-fader effects going in the Dismodus. And that gives that really low guttural background, kind of the bass tone for a lot of this patch. So it kind of sets the mood in a very dark kind of way. That's basically it for the patch. I do have this last channel here. I didn't end up using it on this patch, but what it is simply, I took my iridium and I did kind of recorded some samples into my bitbox. I ended up not using them because they kind of just changed the tone of the whole industrial purpose of the tone, so I didn't bother playing them back, even though I went to the painstaking process of sampling them and putting them in the bitbox. That's basically it. Just some other stuff, minor things that I used. In case you're wondering about the channel strip, so if you have a performance mixer, I just get a piece of walnut, since it's hard, and drill a couple holes and fit them over the knurlies, and then I can lay down my channel strip markers with some gaffer's tape. Works pretty well. The Tetra pad, don't underestimate the use of the Tetra pad. I mean, it's just got so much pressure sensitivity and volt per octave right now. And it takes a little while to learn to use the nerd sync. But if you do, you can come up with some pretty simple stuff and some pretty complex stuff at the same time. So I encourage you to try to learn a nerd sync if you can. One last thing, I did use the Mimetic Digitalis for sequencing the Vert Interlegio. I'm currently going to put together putting together a noise engineering system, just noise engineering modules only. I have enough to fill a skiff pretty easily, so stay tuned for that once I get that all completed. Anyway, if you have any questions about this patch, or you have any recommendations or anything like that, just go ahead and drop me a note. But in the meantime, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you want. And I'm going to have a lot more of these types of patch explanation videos coming out in the near future. Thanks for watching.